There's a dear and precious book, though it's worn and faded now, which recalls those happy days so long ago, when I stood at mother's knee with her hand upon my brow, and I heard her voice in gentle tones and low. Blessed book, precious book, on thy dear old tear-stained leaves I love to look. Thou art sweeter day by day as I walk the narrow way that leads at last to that bright home above. As she read the stories o'er of those mighty men of old, of Joseph and of Daniel and their trials, of little David bold, who became a king at last, of Satan with his many wicked wiles. Blessed book, precious book, on thy dear old tear-stained leaves I love to look. Thou art sweeter day by day as I walk the narrow way that leads at last to that bright home above. Then she read of Jesus' love as he blessed the children dear, how he suffered, bled, and died upon the tree, of his heavy load of care. Then she dried my flowing tears with her kisses as she said it was for me. Blessed book, precious book, on the dear old tear-stained leaves I love to look. Thou art sweeter day by day as I walk the narrow way that leads at last to that bright home above. Well, those days are past and gone, but their memories linger still, and the dear old book each day has been my guide, and I seek to do his will as my mother taught me then, and ever in my heart his words abide. Blessed book, precious book, on thy dear old tear-stained leaves I love to look. Thou art sweeter day by day as I walk the narrow way that leads at last to that bright home above.
God's word gives me hope. Blessing come in boxes. Memory verse. For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through endurance taught in the scriptures and the agreement, they provide we might have hope. Romans 15 verse 4. Our memory verse tells us that the stories in the Bible were written to teach us lessons of faith, so that we might have hope. One story that is special to me is the story of Elijah and the window of Zarephath, found in 1 Kings 17. The prophet Elijah was hiding from King Ahab beside the brook Cherith. God told Elijah to drink from the brook, and that ravens would bring him food. Every day Elijah's needs were taken care of. When the water dried up, the Lord told Elijah to go to the Zarephath, where he had instructed a widow to supply him with food. When Elijah got to the Zarephath, he found a woman gathering a few sticks. He asked her for a drink of water and a piece of bread. What could she do? There was only enough flour and oil to make bread for herself and her son, and then they would not have any more food. Elijah told her not to be afraid, but to make some bread for him first, and then make bread for herself and her son. For God had promised that the flour would not run out and that the oil would not run dry. The woman did as Elijah told her, and just as God had said, the woman and her son always had enough to eat. 1 Kings 17 verse 16. Several years ago, I found myself wondering where our next meal would come from. There just never seemed to be enough money or food to go around. Our Simply pantry contained oatmeal, rice, beans, and flour. But it was often almost empty. Each day we prayed, Lord, you know our needs and you have promised to take care of us. A young people had been camping in the woods near our house, and we became friends. One day, the wife came to my house crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that they had run out of food and didn't know what they would do. God impressed me to give them some food. How could I do this? I barely had enough for our own family. But I took a box and went into my pantry and started to fill it up. I scooped up some beans and put them into a bag. Then rice, oats, flour, and salt. I added a small container of oil. Then put some tomatoes, potatoes, and onions in the box. Whatever I had, I shared with her. I was amazed that I was able to share. Not one box, but more than 3 large boxes of food with my friend, and miraculously, I had more food than I had started with. Just as God provided from the widow, He provided for my family. Thinking together. 1. Why did it matter that the woman made bread for Elijah first? 2. Has your family experienced a miracle from God?